Hi, thank you for watching. It's just a short video for anyone in business or starting a business, and of course you're going to need a business bank account. This is only based on my opinion, but I've seen first-hand experience and I've heard this from quite a few people. I know a lot of people in business, and what happens essentially is if some funds go in or out of your business account, I think it can happen to personal accounts as well, but I'm talking about business accounts here. You have any money going in or out, whether it's cash, bank transfer, card funds going in, whatever it may be, the banks use algorithms that pick up what they deem suspicious activity. Suspicious activity can be as ridiculous as a 40 quid payment coming in, or it can be for tens of thousands or millions of pounds, whatever it would be. It's whatever it deems unusual activity. Now the banks have brought this in. Theoretically, it's a good idea because it helps prevent money laundering, fraud, things like that. But the banks are scared to death of the regulations. Typical of the government or the financial regulator, the FCA, they go, it's all or nothing, isn't it? It's like we get loads of fraud, loads of money laundering going on. Even banks have been accused of letting tens of millions of pounds be laundered through their accounts. So they've gone from one extreme to the other, as always. So now the latest regulations are, if a person or a business is found to be having dirty money laundered through their accounts, the banks face huge fines from the regulator. So the banks have all become shit scared of the regulator now, of the FCA. So they're blocking accounts for fun, left, right and centre. One in particular that I've heard about a lot from people in business and have seen first-hand information for is Metro Bank. This is only my personal opinion, but I think Metro Bank are a crock of shit and I wouldn't go near them if they were the last bank on the planet. I'm just warning people, in my opinion, don't use Metro Bank for your business account, because the latest one I've seen, and this is a string of many of them seen from somebody I know who's had a business account with them for a couple of years. He's in the motor trade, buying and selling cars and vans. So naturally, all his transactions, his business account is in the name of his business, which relates to the motor trade. For years, he's had funds, mainly his customers pay mainly by bank transfer. There's sometimes finance, and the finance company pay it into his bank account. But naturally, there's tens of thousands of pounds every month in and out of the account. He buys and sells cars and vans. So it's perfectly normal. The bank know the nature of his business, always have done. On the 12th of April, payment was coming into his account from another UK high street bank. It was Lloyds Bank. A customer made a payment for 16 grand, 15,995. Bank transfer, quite normal, into my friend's business bank account with Metro. Metro instantly froze the business account because they deemed this 16 grand suspicious. Now, the algorithm may have its reasons for thinking that, but it was not an unusual transaction. If he had a barber shop and 16 grand comes in, I can understand. He's used to taking 10 or 15 quid, then 16 grand arrives. I can understand there's some suspicion. But he's a car and van dealer, for goodness sake. It's ridiculous. So, froze his account 12th of April. They don't give you any notice that they're freezing it. Now, in fairness to the banks, they're not allowed to, because under anti-money laundering regulations, it's referred to as tipping off. If the bank tells the customer, we've frozen your account because we think that could be suspicious money, they're in trouble for tipping off the money launderer, so to speak. So they never tell you. That's fair enough. He froze his account. Metro Bank have a department, he showed me all the emails, called fraud supporting documents. And what they do, you reach out to them, you say, you froze my account, what do you need? And they say, right, we need whatever, copy your ID, your passport to prove it's you still, that it's banking with us. They ask for evidence of a load of questions. What does that money coming in for? What does it relate to? Who sent it you? Why did they send it you? Have you got a copy of the invoice? Are they a business? Are they VAT registered? A load of questions they ask. Some of it makes sense, some of it's a load of rubbish, but they just ask a load of questions. My friend provided all this information on the day his account was frozen, 12th of April, that afternoon, to the correct team, fraud supporting documents. He got an automated email back to show that everything had been received. He also, as a precaution, popped into his local branch. This one was the one in Liverpool. He said he spoke to a lady in the bank who he thinks was the branch manager. She may have been a business manager. He actually said she was really nice, really understanding, and had tried to be as helpful as she could. There's nothing she could do about it. That's not her fault, but she tried to be helpful. She took a photocopy of his passport and driving license and other ID and invoices just to scan it off and to verify to this fraud supporting document numpties that, I say numpties, I'll tell you why in a minute. Fraud supporting document numpties. So he'd had everything, all the information from the customer, clear explanations, nothing suspicious about it. The lady, the business manager or branch manager at Liverpool, also emailed them on his behalf to say the customer's been in, I've seen true copies of his ID, here's who he says he is, here's everything to back it up. Here's nothing, expecting, according to the automated email, what someone told him at Metro, this could take up to about 10 working days, which for any business, your money frozen, your account frozen for 10 working days is a bit of a pain in the ass. Because not only you can't withdraw any money or make any payments, they actually block any incoming payments wherever it's from. They also block all of your regular direct debits. Anything that goes in or out of that account, you can't pay in cash, you can't withdraw cash, you can't use your card, you can't do anything. Everything is frozen. So 10 working days would be a bit of a pain in the ass for most businesses. You can't access any money, or customers can't pay you. If a customer tries to pay you, it bounces back. So it affected his business. He had wages to pay, his own salary, a couple of staff, suppliers, all the usual costs, rent for his yard, everything to pay. Gives it a week, thinks I'll chase it up just in case. Still not heard anything. No, we couldn't tell him anything at all. Nothing to report. They say give it a few days, and if your account's not unblocked, get back to us. He leaves it another few days, 10 days passes, nothing. This process goes on and on and on. He ends up chasing them daily in branch and on the phone. On and on and on and on. This is Metro Bank. Exactly 2 months to the day it took them to unblock his bloody account. They froze it on the 12th of April, and it was unfrozen on the afternoon of the 12th of June. 2 months. How can a business go with no cash flow whatsoever for 2 months? All the stock he had he couldn't sell, because if people go and buy a car for £5 grand, they don't come along with a briefcase full of £5 grand, do they? If they did, that's probably money laundering. That's the whole point of the banks allegedly blocking the thing. They pay by bank transfer, they take out finance, they make a card payment, whatever it might be. Sometimes there's a bit of cash. 2 months. So even though I understand there's regulation in place, the banks have to abide by it. Metro Bank, and this isn't the first case I've heard, which I don't bank with Metro Bank, I never have done, so I've nothing personally against them. I just know from a number of people in business that they are an absolute crock of shit. Seriously, stay away from Metro Bank. That's my honest opinion. I don't think any of the banks are particularly great. I've heard other stories about others, but I've heard Metro so many times. And this friend of mine lost his business, had to let staff go. One of the staff members was in the process of buying a house, had just had a mortgage approved, and then didn't get any salary because the salary was blocked going into their account. He managed to get some cash to pay them elsewhere, sold some cars cheap for cash to pay his staff. But because the salary didn't go into the bank account, when the mortgage lender asked for up-to-date bank statements to make sure everything was in order after pre-agreeing the mortgage for this person, they declined it because they thought this person's either lost their job or not getting paid anymore. Thanks again to Metro Bank. Indirectly, they're nothing to do with the employee, but he didn't get his wages. So someone didn't get the house that they'd worked hard to get. Other staff didn't have wages. My friend lost his business, couldn't pay his own bills because he had no access to any money whatsoever, couldn't even pay himself. And Metro Bank gave no explanation. On top of that, they didn't even have the courtesy on the 12th of June to say to him, a text message, an email, a phone call, you know what, we're a shit bank, we've blocked your money for 2 months, we've ruined your business, but hey, you know, you got access to your money again, now we've blocked it. They didn't even do that. He only did it by kept checking his card and his online banking every day, and it was finally working. Needless to say, he moved all of his funds out there to another bank and dropped Metro Bank, and I know he's actually going through some process now with the Financial Ombudsman to get some recompense. But the damage is done. So, purpose of this video isn't just to give my opinion to say avoid Metro Bank, even though I think you shouldn't go near Metro Bank with a proverbial barge pole, because I've heard this many times, as I said. But it's also a warning, because there's regulation and all of the banks are scared to death of the regulator and they're scared of fines, and there have been cases of accounts being blocked because of 40 or 50 quid going. You can find this online. Just Google business accounts frozen and you'll find it. What I would recommend for anyone in business, no matter how long you've been in business, no matter how good or bad your relationship is with your bank, or if you're starting a business, please open more than one account with a different bank and do it within a different banking group. So like, say for example you're with NatWest, don't open an RBS one, because RBS Group, Royal Bank of Scotland Group, owns NatWest as well. And if you're in the same banking group, like Lloyds and TSB or Halifax and Lloyds, I think are linked somehow in the same banking group, if you have your accounts in the same group, they could freeze all of your accounts. So if you are, just for example with NatWest, even if it's all going well, I would open a separate business account with someone like Barclays, a different banking group, and just keep a bit of money in an alternative account, because if this ever happens to you, very likely through no fault of your own, then it could cost you your business. It means you can't pay yourself, can't pay your staff, can't pay suppliers. It's embarrassing if nothing else, because you're thinking, does everyone believe you? That in my friend's case, you know, he's telling his staff, I can't pay you because the bloody bank has frozen the account. I've been telling that week after week after week for like 2 months. It's embarrassing because people are going to think, you know, he's not got the money, what's he not telling us? So whoever you bank with, because they're all scared to death of the regulator and algorithms going mad for money laundering over this, that and the other, all I would say is please have a separate account, keep some money in it separately with a different bank and a different banking group, just in case it ever happens, because this is ruining businesses. I heard something on the radio, something similar happened to Nigel Farage, the new leader of the Reform Party. He's got a big petition going on with the government now about this, known as debanking, because they're also, banks are just closing people's accounts left, right and centre, personal and business, without giving any notice, because either that customer doesn't make them any money, or they think that person could be at risk of money laundering or whatever. So they're being picky and choosing, closing accounts without notice. They just shut it, send you a letter, we don't want you anymore, goodbye. You can still access your money in that case. It's not freezing it because there's suspicious activity. It's happening a lot. So I would strongly recommend, please have more than one business account and just keep some money aside, because if it happens to you, you really are up shit street. And especially if you're with some numpties like Metro Bank that, in my opinion, shouldn't even be in business. They're a joke. But that's all this video is about. If you've not heard it before, Google debanking or Google UK banks freezing business accounts without notice. You'll find all about it. It's AML, anti-money laundering regulations, brought in by the government, over-cautious like they are with everything. Everything goes from one extreme to the other. But so you can understand the banks doing it because they're afraid, and by law they have to. But in the likes of Metro Bank, they've taken far too long to do anything about it. Very easy to just get the documentation required, establish where the money's come from and why. It's a normal transaction, reopen the account, not 2 bloody months. So I'll leave it there for that. Thank you for watching. I'll be uploading new videos very frequently. Hopefully we'll get to 1 or 2 a day with useful business information, podcasts with some prominent business figures, lots of valuable information for different businesses, different sectors, learning from other people's mistakes, my mistakes in business and things. So thanks for watching. If you're not already, please do subscribe. And if you'd be prepared to share the video with anyone you think it might, anyone in business, it's worth them knowing about this if they're not already. So please do share the video or leave any comments or tell us what you think. Cheers, and I'll see you in the next video.